There are many people who didn't speak who knew Baba. Like I can comfortably, without fear of contradiction, confirm to Kenyans that Baba's choice amongst his children for who would succeed him was not Raila Jr., was not Winnie. After Fidel died, Raila told Rosemary to prepare to become the MP of Kibra. And upon being urged on, Rosemary came for me. And she told me, I would like you to take me to Kibra. And I took her to Kibra in her maiden rally at Kamkunji grounds, which is very symbolic in Kibra constituency. She did not tell me that the father asked her to look for me. If he did, I don't know. She can confirm. If he didn't, then she made that decision herself for whatever reasons. So after I took her back, shortly after she fell unwell, and she went to South Africa. And Raila would go to South Africa to visit her in hospital. And when he would come to Nairobi, he would tell me, your friend has greeted you. She's going to do well. She will be well. That is the girl Raila wanted to be, to succeed him.
To take the mantle.
Yes, Rosemary. I saw her talking, very polished, very intelligent, very present. And I felt very bad. And do you know the thought that went through my mind? That under the Constitution of Kenya, people living with disabilities have an avenue through which they can make the contribution. So because I know Baba wanted Rosemary to be an active player, maybe not even succeeded, through the provisions of the Constitution, she should be allowed. After all, I know a few people who live with the disability of blindness who are active in politics. In fact, one of the presidential candidates was a person living with a disability. So I don't think you can rule Rosemary Odinga out of the question. But I saw in her demeanor that it's not on her mind. For your information, I'm a doctor. We are trained to read body language, to attempt to understand more when somebody is speaking, because when patients present to you, you have to hear more than what they are telling you. So I feel bad for her, and I want to use this opportunity to tell her, I am very sorry. She's a great woman. Yes. And my apologies to Winnie, my apologies to Junior. I have nothing against them, but at my age, they must listen to what I'm saying. It is without prejudice.
Yeah, but maybe one of these fine days we will get them, in this political scene in the country, probably.
If they were to run for something and they persuaded me to support them and they convinced me that they would deliver, I would support them.
Okay.
But I was just showing them that the real jewel in that family today is Rosemary.
Okay.
Let me tell you, if Fidel was alive today, the Fidel we were campaigning with during NASA, if he was alive today, Odinga would have kissed goodbye his ambition to be the party leader. The young man would instantly have been the party leader of ODM, even before NEC would have made the decision. The young man had a spark. He was really his father.
I'm your host, Violet Hauma, and today we speak to one of the Kenya's outspoken leaders, Kakamega Senator and Senate Majority Chief Whip, Dr. Boni Khalwale. We want to talk about his reflections on Raila Odinga's death, to what people call defiance on matters Malaba by-election, but also we'll be talking about his political ambitions, 2027 gubernatorial ambitions here in Kakamega County. Welcome, Dr. Senator Boni Khalwale.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
my sister.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my pleasure that you are having me this afternoon.
Senator, like currently as you speak, Kenya continues mourning Raila Odinga. You as a person, I know you've interacted with him. How do you view Raila Odinga as a person, the late Raila Odinga?
Raila was a great man. His persona, his thinking, his politics were consequential. And I must say it very quickly that not all of us could have spoken at the Ruki Mass on Sunday, much as we would have loved to. But purely because of the interest of time, it was not possible. But I was personally disappointed that we sat there for long hours and many speakers, speaker after speaker, save for the governor of Siaya, James Orengo, made speeches, important speeches, but clearly limiting the contribution that Raila made on the political landscape of this country to his sunset days in the broad-based government. Raila's contribution was far greater than the little things of broad-based government. Raila's contribution should have been celebrated by others who were not given an opportunity to signify his achievements elsewhere beyond the broad-based government. The broad-based government is an experiment. It is yet to achieve anything. We hope it will achieve a lot, but to reduce the celebration of such a great man to that, you denied him a chance, because the international community was waiting to hear why the enigma was an enigma.
What it was that was supposed to be said that was not said?
I mean, if you had given Mother Karua an opportunity to speak, she had something to say. She was his running mate. She worked with Raila for 20 years in Parliament. And part of those 20 years, Raila was Prime Minister. Nobody mentioned how Raila brought the country together after the post-election violence. People like Mother Karua, who were there at that time, would surely have had an opportunity to celebrate that. And many more, not forgetting even myself. At the peak of my oversight role, when I challenged the Minister for Finance of the broad-based government, Amos Kimunya, Raila was our Prime Minister. I would have told them some of the things that Raila told me before we went for the motion. And so on and so forth.
You worked with him maybe as an opponent or ally and all that. Being an opposition leader, but also being on the same side where you were at some point, which one actually stood out for you?
For me, what stands out is that I never used to agree with Raila. We disagreed with Raila on just about everything because of my persona. I follow my mind. And when I followed my mind for the many elections that His Excellency, the late President, the late Prime Minister, ran for President, I always found myself choosing a different side. Apart from, of course, 2017, when we closed ranks, Musali and I and Wetangula, and said that we wanted the community to be in NASA and solidly to make Raila president. And I'm very proud because in 2017, Raila won the election. And the Supreme Court agreed. But then Raila then disappointed me. He refused to take us back to a rerun. Up to this day, not him, not Miguna, not Orengo. And I mentioned these two names very carefully because those were the giants who were advising Raila Odinga from his community. Why he didn't take up the chance for a rerun which he was going to win, to this day, I've never understood. Some say there was an element of inducement. I can't say that about a dead man, but I keep on wondering, what is it? We had won the election. The Supreme Court had given us the victory, only that the Supreme Court does not have the constitutional power to declare somebody a winner through an election petition. So they took us to a rerun to go and claim our victory. And the guy backed out. I was personally pissed off when I saw him on the footsteps of Harambe's house with Uhuru Kenyatta in what became some form of handshake, politics of handshakes. I do not subscribe to them because the Constitution of Kenya is structured so that political offices are achieved through competition and not through boardroom decisions. In fact, one of the biggest weakness that we have in my party, UDA, is that the party leader of UDA, His Excellency the President, who we respect, does not believe in competitive identification of candidates. He believes in boardroom decisions where Beatrice should be given to Jacob and Jacob should be forced to accept that he's not the best. And yet, it is the people who are supposed to decide. You've seen, even in the current by-elections, candidates from across the country have been asked to step out of and back out of the race. That is not why, at the age of 22 years old, at the University of Nairobi, I joined the political space where I have stayed steadfastly. I joined belief because having read and understood what democracy means, I chose to go into that space so that Kenyans, rich and poor, from influential to non-influential families all the way to dynasties, would have an equal chance, an equal opportunity to ascend not only just to political office, but to the highest office of the land. In fact, it was because of this, partly, that from nowhere, I decided to back William Ruto, because William Ruto had no chance. He was facing the dynasties of Kenya, and I was irritated as a son of a Changa brewer that then when will our time come? So I decided to back him.
Yeah, we will be coming back to basically what is happening, and I really want to know where you stand currently in matters UDA. But still on Raila Odinga, Raila's passing, according to you, what do you think Kenya has lost, and what's his political legacy that he's left behind?
There is an English saying that when a king dies, he doesn't die with a crown. And they say in English that the king is dead, long live the crown. So Raila's death, the pain of his absence is ultimately for the family and close friends. But for the nation, the king is dead, long live the crown.
True.
There will be many Railas who will come after him. Never mind that many speakers thought that here goes a man who will never be replaced. No. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Who do you think might be able to fit in those boots as an opposition leader?
The person who will fit in those huge shoes is not necessarily Odinga, who was hurriedly gifted the position to be the party leader of ODM interim. Is not necessarily a member of his family. Is not necessarily the people who have been angling to be perceived as the heir apparents. The person who will succeed Raila Odinga will emerge. And that person will emerge not necessarily from the opposition. It could be very well even within the current composition of the government side, a man or a woman will emerge. And I tell you, I've been on this terrain for 25 years. I know there is talent in this country. There is serious talent in this country. It is just because of the way we play politics that some of the most talented people, so many obstacles are put in their path. So they find it fairly difficult to ascend. But ascend, they shall. Yes.
During the speeches, one of the people that spoke was Siaya Governor Orengo. And one of the things that he said is that I think it was during that time that they were supposed to swear in Baba as people's president. He said some of the people, that is the time he realized that some of the people are actually wearing trousers, but they're not men. Do you think that this statement was actually demeaning some of the leaders in the country who actually didn't make it to the swearing?
No, what Orengo was doing, he was being emotional. Orengo was referring to those of us at that time who refused that Baba should not be allowed to take a meaningless oath, self-administered, that was not consequential. Secondly, who knew that in the event the sitting government would do what it takes to quell that kind of attempt, it was going to result in unnecessary loss of many lives and property. Not because we were cowards when we took that position, but because we know and we knew that the Constitution of Kenya is very explicit on how to take over power. Taking over power in the Constitution of Kenya is only through one path, through an election. So we knew any other path was treasonable, and any attempt to pursue it was self-serving and meaningless. I'm a doctor. I'm a scientist. You want a huge decision like that not to be in vain. So we were advising the Prime Minister to go and take an oath in vain. As a scientist, I would like any consequential decision to have desired consequences. And the only desired consequence from that self-administered oath was that he becomes president. And there was no way he was going to become a president. So we decided to be sober, and we said no. So when I heard James Orengo, a man I respect a lot, make those remarks, I knew he was being emotional and he was playing to the gallery. But more importantly, that statement by Orengo, he should have acknowledged the statement and said that he was quoting Chelagat Mutahi. It was not his statement. That was the statement of the late Chelagat Mutahi, who, when she stood out with the 7 bearded sisters against Moi, she laughed at the men who were not seeing that Moi was messing the country, and she called them women in trousers. So the little that Orengo should have done, and with due respect, he should have acknowledged that he was quoting Chelagat Mutahi.
So saying that he was emotional, you were not offended because you're
Not at all.
The man that you were being said.
No, I was not offended, and I hope Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula, Kalonzo, and Johnson Muthama, those of us who stopped, who refused that Raila should take the oath, they were not offended. Let me tell you, Orengo had also another burden. Being the politician that he is, he has ambitions of succeeding Baba, not just in the community, but in the nation. And indeed, James Orengo would make a great president. So he was making what he thought, what he must have thought was a giant step in making a statement that I have what it takes, that I'm one of the few who asked Baba, or who allowed Baba to self-administer an oath. If you ask Dr. Miguna, he would have told you the same. Yes. But the country, as George Saitoti said, a time comes when the country is bigger than an individual. And therefore, at the time of taking oath, when we argued with Raila Odinga, James Orengo, Miguna, myself, we were in Orengo's office in the city center, his legal office. When we argued that he should take or not take, it was so hot that we had to talk to the president of Tanzania, Magufuli. And Magufuli called and told Raila, if you take this oath, I can see your team. Khalwale is there, Orengo is there, Miguna is there, Muthama is there. Khalwale and Muthama are explicit that you cannot take the oath. If you take it, you will become an international pariah. You will no longer be the admired opposition leader. Don't take. But Orengo kept quiet. Miguna urged him on, and it came to pass. End result, nothing.
I know currently you're not in the opposition, and as you say, you have not been very close with Raila Odinga, especially because it's like you've been drifting apart when it comes to matters politics. A lot of people actually have been saying that Raila Odinga has been the glue that has been putting together all these people in terms of, the opposition, but also ODM. Do you think that his death marks the end of ODM?
I would love ODM to remain strong. I would love ODM to outlive the lifetime of Raila Odinga. However, history teaches me otherwise. History teaches me that Kanu died with Moi, that Ford Asili died with Kenneth Matiba, that Ford Kenya died with Michael Kijana Wamalwa, and that PNU died with Mwai Kibaki, and that Jubilee, thank God President Uhuru is still alive. Why you see it still kicking but not strong is because President Uhuru is around. But if he was not there, it would have died with him. So the history of this country, unfortunately, we can't pretend that we are in the US, where you have got a strong Democratic Party and Republican Party. The history of our country is that parties exit with their strong political leaders. I see that hovering around Raila Odinga. You saw, even when we were in Bondo on the final day, as he was eulogized, you could see 3 different groups of ODM. Where there was the progressive team of Babu Wino and Edwin Sifuna. They were saying the things that were exciting the voter of the future, the youth. And we had the second group of the people who came to government through the window of broad-based government, who came to eat. They included Apio Andai, he came to eat. Oparanya, he came to eat. Joho, he came to eat, and the young lady from Turkana, they all came to eat. They would have, and the man I love, John Badi, they came to eat. They would have killed you. You heard those statements. They were weeping more than the bereaved, because they knew that if the weeping does not weep the president sufficiently for him to sustain them in government, the death of Tinga was marking the end of their eating. And let me tell you, it is because some of them are not deep enough. Raila was not taking them to government so that they eat. He was taking them to government so that strategically he would prepare himself for 2027. So that strategically he would fundraise. You require billions of shillings to run a presidential campaign. So they thought he was doing it for them because he loved them. That was political strategy. And that's why he panicked when he saw that the community was starting to buy into the idea of broad-based government. He was forced to go public and say that, who told you that ODM will not have a presidential candidate? Those of us who understand the chess game that we call politics in Kenya, we knew exactly what Mzee was doing, strategizing. Well, some people say he did that so as to quell the Gen Z uprising. I do not think so. He saw an opportunity. The Gen Z could only have been silenced by His Excellency Right Honorable Raila Odinga if he was the owner of the dog. He was not. So he rode on that and got what he got. And I think the Gen Zs that were the owner of the Gen Z uprising were far removed from the political shenanigans that everybody is talking about. Because those young people, and I can see a few of them in this press conference, these ones, they were only armed with a smartphone and the Kenyan flag. The people who caused loss of lives and property were hardcore criminals in Rastafari. I was there on the 25th of June. I saw the two different layers. When they were approaching Parliament with their smartphones in their hands and singing, they were not a threat. When the hardcore guys came in, our life immediately came under threat. So, let's give it to our youth. They did what they could. I don't think they could have done more than that. But shame unto the political forces that then infiltrated the agenda of the youth. I do not think the smartphone wielding and national flag wearing youth were planning to overthrow the government. They were making a statement in respect of the issues which they raised, which included, amongst others, unemployment.
So is there anything that young people will learn from Raila Odinga?
Yes, Raila started as a young person. When he was detained for the first time without trial, he was 37. That is just 2 years before the definition of a youth, which ends at 35. It's one of them. So what they can learn from him is that you don't have to wait to become bald-headed like Khalwale before you start your journey. You should start from right where you are. Even you, as truly speaking here, I started from the age of 22 at the University of Nairobi. Yes, and it was not a joke.
Okay.
We were the generation of youth who overthrew the government.
There is one question that I want to ask you about Raila's before we come to that. I mean, we go to the next segment of the questions that I have for you. Same with the speeches that we had during Raila's burial. Winnie Odinga, she spoke, and then at the tail end, she said, "But if you want to know, I'm coming. I'm ready to come back home."
Yes.
According to you, with this statement that she said, what did you think that she meant? Is it like she meant that she's coming home to join politics? She's coming home to take over the fathers? You know, what is your take on this?
I can't speak for Winnie because I have never shared a conversation with him apart from when I met her to congratulate her upon being elected to go to Yala. And told her I voted for you, and I actually voted for her. So I don't know her mindset. However, when she made that statement, I was seated with Eugene Omalwa, and I poked his rib side and told him, "Did you hear that?" Then he told me, "Yes." And I told him, that girl doesn't want to stay in Yala. She was yearning for a more visible presence in the politics of this country before 2027, because I suspect that she wants to gun for something. Let me tell you, there are many people who didn't speak who knew Baba. Like, I can comfortably, without fear of contradiction, confirm to Kenyans that Baba's choice amongst his children for who would succeed him was not Raila Jr., was not Winnie. After Fidel died, Raila told Rosemary to prepare to become the MP of Kibra. And upon being urged on, Rosemary came for me. And she told me, "I would like you to take me to Kibra." And I took her to Kibra in her maiden rally at Kamkunji grounds, which is very symbolic in Kibra constituency. She did not tell me that the father asked her to look for me. If he did, I don't know. She can confirm. If he didn't, then she made that decision herself for whatever reasons. So after I took her back, shortly after she fell unwell, and she went to South Africa. And Raila would go to South Africa to visit her in hospital. And when he would come to Nairobi, he would tell me, "Your friend has greeted you. She's going to do well. She will be well." That is the girl Raila wanted to be, to succeed him.
To take the mantle.
Yes, Rosemary. I saw her talking, very polished, very intelligent, very present. And I felt very bad. And do you know the thought that went through my mind? That under the Constitution of Kenya, people living with disabilities have an avenue through which they can make the contribution. So because I know Baba wanted Rosemary to be an active player, maybe not even succeeding, through the provisions of the Constitution, she should be allowed. After all, I know a few people who live with the disability of blindness who are active in politics. In fact, one of the presidential candidates was a person living with a disability. So I don't think you can rule Rosemary Odinga out of the question. But I saw in her demeanor that it's not on her mind. For your information, I'm a doctor. We are trained to read body language, to attempt to understand more when somebody is speaking, because when patients present to you, you have to hear more than what they are telling you. So I feel bad for her, and I want to use this opportunity to tell her, I am very sorry. She's a great woman. Yes. And my apologies to Winnie, my apologies to Junior. I have nothing against them. But at my age, they must listen to what I'm saying. It is without prejudice.
Yeah, maybe one of these fine days will get them, in this political scene in the country, probably.
If they were to run for something and they persuaded me to support them and they convinced me that they would deliver, I would support them.
Okay.
But I was just showing them that the real jewel in that family today is Rosemary.
Okay.
Let me tell you, if Fidel was alive today, the Fidel we were campaigning with during NASA, if he was alive today, Odinga would have kissed goodbye his ambition to be the party leader. The young man would instantly have been the party leader of ODM, even before NEC would have made the decision. The young man had a spark. He was really his father.
Okay, Senator, let's stand from reflection to responsibility. You're a key figure in the government. Of course, you were the Senate Majority Chief. You've been oftenly challenging the administration, a number of things, critics here and there. And that is why I think people look at you as somebody who is not really following the UDA's constitution. So you are the Senate Majority. You've been among the strongest critics of Kenya Kwanza government. Why?
Really? Did you say strongest? Where have you put the leader of the minority in the Senate, the leader of the minority in the National Assembly? Where have you put the presidential pretenders, Kalonzo Musyoka, all of them? They should
in Kenya Kwanza government. I said in Kenya Kwanza. I said in Kenya Kwanza government. They are not in Kenya Kwanza government.
You know, what used to be Kenya Kwanza was just after elections or during the campaign. Kenya Kwanza has become broad-based. They are all in there.
Yes.
Yes.
But now we're talking about, let's narrow it down to Kenya Kwanza government. In fact, UDA, the same party with the president.
What about it?
You've been the key critic. I mean, a lot of people actually will look at it this way, that if you're in the same party, you're supposed to be supporting the government's agenda, supporting your president and all that. Why are you criticizing the same things of the same person?
That is a very important question. And I want to attempt to explain to Kenyans. And I want to explain it, and they must understand.
Please.
So, I want Kenyans to understand me. I was not born in the political space. I was not invited nor mentored into the political space that I enjoy today. Out of self-belief and self-drive, I find myself where I am today. I'm very conscious of the fact that I serve and draw privileges from my position as a whip. I do not suffer from amnesia. What I have done is what I have done all over my life for the last 25 years. I follow my mind. And because I support the president, I cannot support the president to fail. I would only support him to fail if I was his competitor, so that I capitalize on it. So every time you see me point out where the government is getting it wrong, it is because I know, much as it might be doing well, it can do better. We had a class of very brilliant doctors who were my classmates. I was privileged to be their classmate. Many of them were smarter than me, and many of them believed that I was smarter than them. What would they make of me? Because they watch me in the public space. And I owe them that I do not become a duplicate of the present day politician who is either wash or cannot explain where their wealth has come from, or who vomit on our shoes after they have stolen our wealth and they want us to cheer them on. I cannot celebrate that kind of collegiality in the political space. Now, to be specific, given another opportunity, I would still choose President Ruto over Raila Odinga to become president. That is, if we were to go back to 2022. But going to 2027, I would not rush to say Ruto for president. I would be quick to say that has Ruto delivered? The confidence he enjoyed 3 years ago was unconditional. But the confidence he's going to enjoy from us who believe in Kenya in 2027 will be conditional. We will say, have you delivered? And if you have not delivered, do you have what it takes to deliver in the next round of 5 years? That is how a thinking voter is supposed to do. Fast forward to what I know is burning you. That why has Dr. Khalwale, a leader in the government of the day, chosen to support a candidate in the by-election from a party that is in the opposition? I have done that one because of the imperative of freedom. Freedom of choice. It is enshrined in our constitution, which I sought to uphold, to protect, and to ensure that it is defended. That freedom of choice for who should be the leader, somebody wants to take it away from the people of the Luo nation. And the Luo nation has youth who many years from now will rise to levels beyond where I am. They should not be taken home to believe that to choose a leader in Luo land, some people from outside the community, whatever their positions in society, can come and dictate to us. The youth, the women, sugarcane cutters, bullfighters of Malaba, we will help them to choose the leader they deserve. And that does not mean disrespecting or going against the government. If it is because of political party discipline, the party that took me to parliament is called UDA. But today, as we speak, the party leader of UDA, His Excellency the President, is supporting ODM in Kaspul. And the whip of UDA in the Senate is supporting DAP Kenya in Malaba. So, if it is good for the goose, it should also be good for the gander. Unless, of course, I am confused. If the imperative is political party discipline, Seth Panyako, who I am supporting and who I urge the people of Malawi to vote for, to the man, he is the person the president asked me that Khalwale, now we have successfully founded a party called UDA. Please let us form a national executive council. Give me 2 names. And the first name I gave him was of my political opponent, Michael Isiao a Malemba. You know the young man, member of NEC. The second name, I told him, Your Excellency, let me go and think. So I went and held a meeting with the chief of nurses, Seth Panyako, and I gave him the name. So these two people were members of NEC on UDA. So when a member of NEC wants to be elected as a leader on his own party, as Seth Panyako is, why are we denying him? Where are we taking him his freedom of enjoying his political rights? I am defending freedom and I am defending democracy. So wewe umeniuliza nikuja hapa, wacha nikuambia maneno ya wasomi kidogo. Freedom. When a defender of freedom rises and resists any threat to freedom, that defender of freedom must be celebrated. That's why Raila was being celebrated, because he was a defender of freedom.
We've had a section of leaders in Kenya Kwanza. They have been calling for you to be first and foremost kicked out of the party.
Yes.
But also two, majority whip.
Yes.
Reason being you've gone against, but I know you went ahead and answered that question because President William Ruto is supporting someone in Kasipul, ODM candidate,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But now, are you ready to relinquish your majority seat now that we've had those calls from leaders in the government?
I don't hold the position of whip at my pleasure. I hold the position of whip at the pleasure of the appointing authority. So if the appointing authority, for whatever reasons, believes that I should not serve in that office, it is not my pleasure. I would take it within my stride. I would not even ask for an explanation why I'm being asked to take a walk. I would interpret it in my own understanding, namely that I'm being asked or being invited to choose between the interest of the Abaluya community and my interest to earn the proceeds of being in the office of the chief whip. Let me tell you, if it was to boil down to that, choosing between the interest of the Abaluya and my own interests, I have quite a number of Abaluya in my home who I call my children. Their interest is greater than my personal interests. So I would take it within my stride.
So do you believe you as a majority whip, you have violated the party's constitution from where you sit?
I would love to hold this discussion about that question, but I can't, for the reason that who told you my party is dissatisfied with me? Who told you? If it was
of leaders, that is what they're saying.
Good.
They are pushing that you have violated the constitution by supporting some opposition leader or candidate instead of you supporting the candidate, the official candidate of the party.
You know, if you're a driver and it is foggy, it is misty, and you cause a small accident, you are not called a bad driver, okay? So those people who are speaking, they are making mistakes because they are driving when it is foggy, when it is misty. But if they were making those pronouncements when it is clear, I would be asking them the same calls they are making about the whip for associating with a party of Azimio. They should make the same things about the party leader. We're supporting the Azimio candidate, not just in Kasipul alone, but beyond. Please, men and women are created in the image and likeness of God, and they are all equal. The reason why you are pushing me like this is because you are an intelligent young person. People must use their intelligence to critically look at issues. How do you expect me to turn against the person who was responsible for the 600,000 votes that President Ruto got in the Luo community, whom I partnered with, said Panyako, to make Ruto president? How do I turn against him? Next time, because he's younger than me, he'll tell me Luo elders are not reliable. Michael Kijana Wamalwa, who mentored me, would never have turned against me. The young people who I influenced to work with me to make President Ruto run in Luo land had the choice of going to Azimio, but they believed in me. So for the sake of me being our chief whip, I abandoned them. I cannot abandon, says Panyako. He is the chief of UDA in Malaba who has been dumped by the roadside. Why? Because of latecomers called Musalia Mudavadi, who found Panyako with the Ruto. They are saying, get him out of the way. I want to get my own choice. Your own choice, Mudavadi?
But he's no longer in the party.
Who is no longer in the party?
Panyako.
Yes, because he was elbowed out. Sikia, Waswahili husema, akufukuzaye kwake, hakuambii toka. Seth Panyako is not a desperate person. He has political choices. So, as God says, when this door is locked, another door opens. So, Seth's door in UDA was locked. And he has come on the Wamalwa side. Wamalwa has opened another door to allow him an opportunity to enjoy chapter 4 right, called your political right. Let's be fair to everybody. And let us not be selfish or threaten people that if you don't do this, this will become of you. Why are you threatening me? Why?
You know, it's been, I don't know if...
Not you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just asking. Why did he ask you to threaten me?
I'm not... I'm not threatening you, really. I'm just asking because I really want answers, because it's something that has been said.
Yeah.
It was in a church somewhere in Malava. And one of the things that actually came out is that you're supposed to face disciplinary action. And there was a letter that was supposed to be drafted to you.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, did you receive any letter from the party?
Thank you for asking me that question. I do not have any letter. If I had a letter, I would say it in this press conference. And because there is no letter, and we see stuff circulating on social media, I cannot, a constitutional office holder, respond to social media banter. So as and when a letter will be written to me, I have the personal or capacity through my legal team support to respond. I would respond gladly, because as I said, I'm not suffering from amnesia. I'm very sober.
Okay.
Yes. We want the government to work, but we want the government to work within the confines of the Constitution of Kenya. Anything other than that is a journey towards anarchy.
So if at all you receive that letter,
Yes.
Doctor
Yes.
Bonnie Khalwale, will you be able to face the disciplinary action?
You appear to know the contents of the letter.
No, I'm just asking because as much as you say it was like by the roadside, you will not respond to it. But one of the things that they said during that meeting was that you will have to face the disciplinary action because you're supporting a candidate from the opposition who is not an official candidate of the party.
Yes.
That contravenes the constitution. I'm not actually going through the constitution, UDA constitution, but that is what they said.
Yes.
So if at all that is true, of which currently you are acknowledging that it is true, you're supporting a different candidate who is not an official candidate.
I'm supporting Senate.
Yes, exactly. And that is why I'm saying, like, are you ready to face the disciplinary action? Probably if at all that is true.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
The so-called disciplinary action by Johnny's come lately, I would gladly subject myself to those disciplinary actions, knowing very well that I am protected by the truth and I am protected by fact, and more importantly, I am protected by the Constitution of Kenya. Disciplinary action by the constitution of a political party does not take away, does not vacate the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya in respect of the freedom of association. It is constitutional. The freedom of choice and the freedom of expression. Let me tell you, Raila is where he is today because he stuck to that. He knew that everything said and done. These freedoms are paramount. Man, the guy was behind the bars for 18 years. I was listening to my brother, a man I respect, Senator Richard Momoima Onyonka, and he told me how when they were in detention, Raila would be taken away at 3 a.m. in the morning and other wee hours of the night. And they would hear him walking away, tap, 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 and they would know he was going to be killed. And he would then, many hours later, come back when they have not broken him. He touched me because that part of Richard Onyonka, a son of a minister, had not been evident to me. We must remain stoic to defend freedom, to remove detention without trial. Martin Shukuku, Kenneth Matiba paid with their lives. Shukuku had broken, he came out a cripple. Matiba literally came out almost a vegetable. It is not easy, and we want to call upon all political players to allow Kenyans to enjoy their freedom. When you enjoy your freedom, it doesn't deny me an opportunity to enjoy my freedom. It only becomes an offense if in the enjoyment of your freedom, you infringe on the freedom of other people. I call upon all Kenyan leaders that this is not optional. You know, when I was discontinued from the University of Nairobi as a student of medicine, it was not because I had stolen anything. It's not because I attacked anybody. It is because I was a victim of conscience. And I was a victim because that day, before we moved in, George Gidhi, then the editor of the Standard newspaper, it was those days called the East African Standard, had been detained without trial. John Haminwa, an eminent senior counsel who is now in his 90s today, had been detained without trial. And Jaramogi Oginga Odinga had been put under house arrest. That time, Raila was free. When we took that plunge, Raila was not there. He had not been detained. We were ahead of him. I'm telling you today. So, that clarity of thought I had at the age of 22, my dear journalist, is the same clarity I have today that Kenya has made such a huge gains, as Orengo said at the barrio. We should not allow the loss of any of those gains. If in the process of defending those gains, some of us will lose certain privileges, then be it. I also want you to be fair to me on two accounts. The first account is that when I look at the pedigree of the leaders who are saying nimekosa sana, I just laugh, because you want me to respond to people like Didmus Barasa? Didmus Barasa, MP for Community. We respect the people of Community. Community is the constituency of Mohisa Kitui, a great man. Community is the constituency of Elijah Weseke Mwangale. Community is the birthplace of Henry Pius Masinde Muliro. We respect those people. But if there would be anybody from Community to challenge me, it would not be Didmus Barasa. Ordinarily, on a good day, Didmus Barasa should today be serving at my gate as a watchman, opening and closing the gate as I come in and as I go out. It is because the political arena has now been open to people with nondescript backgrounds that the standard of leadership in our constituencies, in our counties, unfortunately, is replete with corruption. The second count upon which you must forgive me is that I must be allowed to associate with fellow lawyers who are not necessarily incumbent like me. Wamalwa, I'm associating with him proudly. He's not incumbent. I'm associating with Wafula wa Mnyinyi, George Mutembei. They are not in government. Why are you asking me to explain when just the other day, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, associated himself with his own brother, Gideon Moi? So when people work for cohesion in their communities, the Kalenjin, when Khalwale does the same with Abaluya, you say, using people like Mudavadi, people like Didmus Barasa, to call for Khalwale's discipline. Really? I ask you, reflect on this. This is the stereotype that was started by J.J. Kamodo, former Minister of Education, when he said that Luhyaland is a community of cooks and watchmen. It is true. We are a community of cooks and watchmen. Not because all of us are cooks and watchmen, but because being the most populous community in Kenya, every sector where you go, where there is equal access to opportunity, we will be the majority. Today, even if you go to the mortuary, the majority are Luyas, because we have the highest numbers. The only place where we are not the majority is in prison. The people of Mount Kenya are the ones you find in prisons in higher numbers because they have a criminal mindset. We are the disciplined, dignified community of Kenya, the house of peace. Yeah. And people have to appreciate us, not to belittle us. When you belittle a Luhya leader like myself, what do you think about the sugarcane cutter? What do you think about the gold miner? What do you think about our cooks? What do you think about our mothers who are jobless? What do you think about our Mama Pimas? My son of a Mama Pima. We will defend them. And through me and others, we will be such a shining, admirable example to their children that one day, many of the Luhya nation children will become doctors like me, senators, and hopefully outlive me and outperform me. That is the message we take home every day.
You know, when you say that Didmus Barasa is supposed to be opening and closing
my gate,
I was your gate. I was like, what? Because I had a one-on-one interview with Didmus Barasa, by the way, and he told me he has gone to school and I think he has papers. Amesoma mpaka mwisho wa kusoma.
Wa dunia.
Yes, mwisho wa kusoma, because he says anangojea tu kupata hiyo doctorate.
That's true. He has all those papers. Let me tell you, as an
So do you expect a
let
doctor
me tell you,
to open and close your gate?
Let me tell you, as an academician, possession of a degree, certificate, or even a PhD is not a measure of intelligence.
Okay.
And that is a fact of science. That we have many PhD holders who are academic fools. I mean, these degrees that people, I call the Kumbaru degrees. Excuse me. These Kumbaru degrees that people brag about, where were they when we were in school, when their age mates were in school, when they were outperforming them as they grew from level to level? This afterthought of Kumbaru. After all, through Kumbaru, a woman in the village can know how to read and write. That does not mean that woman is a class A student of a primary school. And I respect them. I respect Kumbaru degrees. But given an opportunity, when the standards will be there, when we want the civil service to perform, we will not give priority to people with Kumbaru degrees. We will give priority to the children who are first past the post.
So, Did Masbarata is not intelligent. He's not intelligent. Okay, I get you. I get you.
Laughing matter.
You said that you're supporting Seth Panyako for Malava by-election.
Yeah.
Why not Ndakwa?
Oh yeah, Ndakwa is fine. Ndakwa is a young man in this town. We would support him anytime.
But not now.
I would have supported Ndagwa, but the process of identifying Ndagwa was very offensive. To this extent, that I kept out of Malaba politics for 6 months from the time Mheshimiwa died, knowing very well that people would compete. So, when my party, UDA, then called for nominations, I was very happy and cheerful. But when the exercise took place, the person who won the election, Ria Ningendi, was pronounced to be number 2. Now, ask myself, why is Rian being made number 2 when he has won? I went and found that the process was infiltrated by staff from the office of the principal cabinet secretary, led by Mr. Busiaka, Mr. Stiho, together with the principal secretary in the Ministry of Education, Beatrice Nyangala, and others. They came to overturn the will of the people. So Rian's victory was gifted to Ndakwa. So I said, okay, wait a minute. Mudavadi wants to force Ndakwa on the people of Malaba, when in the first place, Mudavadi does not even come from Malaba. When in the second place, he does not even come from Kakamega County. When in the third place, Mudavadi has forgotten that he is a beneficiary of succession politics. When Mudavadi entered politics at the age of 24, he was gifted that seat by Daniel Moi after Luya leaders, Brudi Nabwera from Malaba, Amos Wako, Fred Gumo, and others prevailed upon Moi that Mudavadi has died, take his son. So if it was right for Mudavadi to be assisted to become a successor of his father, why is he bitter for Rian Malulu to succeed his own father? I would have comfortably supported Rian on UDA. Me, I would have supported Rian. But because nobody wants to load it down on us, I would like to support Rian by default. That which was taken from him should not be gifted to Ndakwa. Ndakwa is our good MCA. In fact, he is our deputy leader of the minority. Why not allow the young man to prove himself? 2027 is going to come. Ndakwa would run. Maybe he would have defeated Ryan. Hii maneno ya watu kunyanyasa mtoto ya marehemu just because they sit close to the powers that be. A few of us who believe in defending freedom, we shall rise, and we have risen. We shall resist, and we are resisting. Yes.
Wow.
If I'm lying, let me deny that he was not bedseated to become his father's successor.
No, actually, whatever you're telling us is a different thing, because now you're actually saying authoritatively that Ryan Ijendi won the nominations.
Ryan won the election. In fact, I know of people very close to the president, let me challenge them, who gave him liquid cash and who used to tell me, Khalwale, take it easy, we are supporting Ryan financially. Some of them very close to me. In fact, on voting day, one of my close friends gave Ryan 1 million shillings to organize his agents. And I was asking them, what is the problem? You are from the so-called, the inner core of government. They were telling me it's because this is insisting that he wants his own person. How can Ryan Malulu not be Masalia's person? What is this that takes place between Mudavadi and Ndakwa that should make Mudavadi take away Ryan's rights?
Okay, so according to you, was Ryan president's candidate and Ndakwa Musalia's candidate?
No.
So president.
The nomination in Malaba, I can put it on the record. The president wanted a UDA candidate.
He was not.
So he told these guys, go home and bring me a candidate. Don't forget the president's clerk, Farouk Kibet, was for somebody else.
Okay.
Leader of the majority in the Senate, Aaron Cheriot, was for somebody else. Mudavadi was for somebody else. But Mudavadi prevailed because he has a bigger threat factor to the president than the others. What do I mean by threat factor? The threat factor is that if you disappoint Mudavadi, maybe you'll annoy many more lawyers than if you disappoint the others. Yeah.
So who was Farouk's candidate?
I don't know.
Yes, you're the one who just said right now. So you're telling me something that you don't know.
But this is Kakamega. I know Kakamega. I know the political terrain.
Okay, so
I can not only tell you who are the candidates, but I can tell you the names of the wives. I can tell you the names of their mothers.
No. Let's not go
their grandmothers. Because this is our.
Yes. Let's not go to wives and grandmothers. Anyways, I wanted to ask. Raila Odinga has been, has considered, and a lot of people actually considered Western region Raila's stronghold for many years. His passing, does it mean that the Luya nation, now they are free for anyone to come and grab?
Raila, Western has never been Raila's.
I said a lot of people have considered.
They're wrong. They're wrong.
Okay.
It is because in several corners of the Luya nation, we don't have men and women who would call Raila's claim to bluff.
But numbers speak for themselves.
Over and over again, I called Raila to bluff, and over again, I defeated him. So, if we had such a numbers, this myth would not be there. When Soita was alive, he called Raila to bluff. He defeated him again and again. When Leo Lakmas, former MP of Shinyalu, was still interested in politics, he called Raila to bluff. When the late Dr. Newton Kulundo was alive, he called Raila to bluff. So what we are lacking in the Luo nation is leaders with the self-belief that people don't vote for you at the pleasure of Raila, but they vote for you because they have seen in you what it takes to lead them.
No, but when you're looking at the numbers, Raila has vied for for presidency 5 times, right?
Yes, yes.
When you look at the numbers, he's been leading. Chop of Kakamega, for example. Like even last year, I mean, like the contest between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, who won? Who got the majority?
I think Raila got more.
Yeah, everybody. Actually, all the time.
Because of my strategy. My strategy was not to win the election in Kakamega. I knew. No, my strategy was not to win the election in Kakamega for the president. It was to eat into the vote, the presumed vote block of Raila Odinga. Not just in Kakamega, but in Western. And we swept away 600,000 votes. That is not a child's play.
I know.
Given that the former prime minister lost by a margin of only 200, you can see the damage of 600, what it meant. So, I'm not saying Raila was not popular. It is because the pretenders to the president, and you know them, Wetangula and Mutembei, they pretend to our people that they are running for president. Our people start following them, for your information. And then, months, weeks to the election day, they bow out. So our people, left with no choice, they choose the other person. For real. Look, when Kijana wa Malwa maintained his presence in the rest, he swept all the seats in Western. Raila was in the rest. In 2002, Kijana wa Malwa swept all the seats. In fact, people like Oparanya are shy to tell you people. Oparanya never came into parliament courtesy of Raila. Oparanya came to parliament in 2002 on Ford, Kenya.
Yeah, he actually said courtesy of Kijana wa Malwa.
He normally says, yes.
Yeah.
That is how consequential Wamalwa was. So it's just that our people, left with no choice, then they say, wacha tuchukue jirani. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because jirani siku moja na yeye atachukua sisi.
Yeah, ni mashemeji, you say so.
Yes,
yeah,
they are mashemeji.
Yeah.
Even I have 2 sisters-in-law who are Luos.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I really want us to go into matters, where you are in matters law and policy. President William Ruto, the other day, signed 8 bills into law. Among them, cybercrime bill, county boundaries bill, and you were talking about freedom of expression, freedom as per the constitution, that you cannot allow someone to take out away that, and that is in regards to what you're talking about, the Malava by-election and all that. What is your take on these bills?
2 things. I cannot speak about everything.
Yeah.
It will take forever. But I want to speak about 2 bad things. The first one is Parliament giving the president an opportunity to privatize state corporations. And especially privatize Kenya Pipeline Company. Kenya Pipeline Company is one of the profit-making parastatals. It's fine. Why are you privatizing? They are privatizing because they want to collect an extra 100 billion, which we are not too sure to what it is going to be applied.
Yeah.
Because we have not been told. Then, in the privatization, I would have expected that if National Assembly, Senate was not involved, if National Assembly was sober, they would have said, okay, let us privatize, but give government the majority of the shareholding. They have privatized and they have given the private players 65% and 35% to government. So government is now minority in a key economic sector with security implications. Bad law. Cyber crimes. This is reintroducing detention without trial and infringement on freedoms of self-expression and speech through the back door. What do I mean? Of course, nobody is going to be detained without trial. But on trumped up charges, you tweeted what, you text what, people will end up being confined, being denied their freedoms. It's a bad law. But dear Kenyans, all is not lost. Laws are made and amended. I know in the coming future, in the near future maybe, hopefully, that law is going to be amended so that it is put in tandem with the Constitution of Kenya. That's what I want to limit to those, so that I don't go personal to the president. The president, he only waits to assent into law what Parliament has passed. So you cannot just heap all the blame on him. We have the leader of the majority in the National Assembly, the one who was pushing for these things to go through. Yeah.
As a senator from where you sit, are your hands tied on this?
On what?
Cybercrime bills and all that?
No, your hands need not be tied when you are in Parliament. Your hands become as free as the wings of an eagle that can flap and go as high as you wish. But in Parliament, the minority have their say and the majority have their way. Yeah.
Okay. In your view, is this legislative speed as a sign of progress or political pressure, especially now that we are having like 8 bills just being signed in one day at a go?
Signing bills quickly is a good thing into law. That's what the Constitution wanted. In fact, inside the Constitution, we've made a provision that if the president does not assent to a bill which has been passed by Parliament, that bill becomes law automatically after 14 days. So the intention of our Constitution is that bills should be signed into law quickly. So I can't fault the president for having moved with speed. Yeah.
So overall, how would you rate Ruto's administration's legislative priorities so far?
How do you mean prioritize?
Because again, we have a whole lot of things that are happening in the country.
Yes.
But now, do you feel like whatever laws that are being passed, they are priorities of the country, or they are looking at the other side?
Okay, because I'm in Parliament and I'm in leadership, and I sit on the Senate Business Committee, I can confirm to you that there's no monkey business.
Okay.
In the Senate. As to the National Assembly, we are not allowed to badmouth the other house. But I have always a lot of question marks on how they prioritize business of the house.
Yeah, you know, like when I ask that question, I mean like in regards to a common mwananchi, because they're actually there for mwananchi.
Yeah.
And we're talking about taxation, we're talking about the economy, we're talking about high cost of living and all that. So with the laws that are coming in place, are we like prioritizing what basically affects a common person?
We need strong leadership. We need strong leadership. And where we got it wrong, and with due respect, is that the House leadership is in the hands of junior members of Parliament. The practice as learned from the House of Commons in the UK is that people who take up positions of leadership, be it whip, be it House majority, be it leader of government, are usually the so-called the ranking members, people with experience, the most experience. That is now when the House becomes solid. So we got it wrong. I don't want to speak ill of any of them, but sometimes I hear them speaking and I see that is inexperienced speaking. Yeah.
So,
And some of them have served for 2 terms. 2 terms is fine. But if you are 2 term and there's somebody there with 3 terms and 4 terms, it's better that person to be the one leading the house. Yeah.
you know, like whatever you're saying, I'm trying to just to think. Do you think that there is independence when it comes to the parliament, or it is just another section of executive? Do they have that independence?
There are many people who believe that the executive has captured the legislature. Yes, when you see mistakes like the ones we have spoken to taking place, then you start fearing, is it that somebody is wrong? And it is possible that's what happens. Yeah. But having served President Mwai Kibaki, I remember when I was moving motion of censure against Amos Kimunya, they went to him frantically and they told him, the person moving the motion of censure is from the president's party. I was from Mwai Kibaki's party, not Raila's party, but I was moving that. And Kibaki said, sawa, and he allowed me to go on.
I mean, you are elected by Kakamega people. You are supposed to be loyal to the party as well and to your conscience. Which one comes first?
What comes first is the people. Because without the decision of those people to take you to parliament, you would not hold those positions in parliament. So the loyalty that counts and where it should begin from is with the people. I think I've got you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe last question before we go to Kakamega politics, and I would really want maybe in brief you'll talk to us about that. Do you still believe that President Ruto's administration is on the course to deliver the promises that you and Kenya Kwanza promised Kenyans in 2022?
I see an aspect of goodwill that the president wants the country to change for the better. But I'm starting to see as if panic is creeping in. The time is running out to the next election. So I'm starting to see projects being skewed for purposes of vote catching. An example being this avalanche of projects going to Mutembei, water going to Kisumu, Siaya, and what have you. That's a vote catching tactic. But because we had a manifesto as UDA, which we formed painstakingly, I would rather, if we stayed the course, knowing that the president will get 10 years, then our performance will be more visible. But once we start skewing towards politics, confusion comes in and it no longer remains clear. Yeah.
We will not really end this interview without you talking about your aspirations and ambitions here in Kakamega County, the 2027 gubernatorial race. Please tell us briefly about that.
We've done very well as the Senate of Kakamega. When I took, I tick off the boxes of the role of a senator, I'm almost 100% able to tick off the boxes that we are performing and delivering. Unfortunately for us, we found ourselves in the hands of a governor who has inferiority complex. When he listens to criticism, he feels he's being, when he listens to critique to his government, he feels he's being undermined because of inferiority complex. We have a governor who has no experience. We have a governor who does not have the interests of the poor at heart. So the poor people's projects, like that little bursary, like that water flowing into the home, like having a nurse and a doctor to give free surgery to a pregnant woman of a sugarcane cutter who cannot afford a cesarean section. They don't touch him. No wonder you have been witnessing many deaths of women when a county like Kiambu has recorded 0 deaths of women in 8 months. When a county like Mutembei has recorded a year, 4 months of 0 deaths of women, maternal deaths. So we are stuck with that, and I'm hoping that God will give us an opportunity that I serve the people of Kakamega as governor. Not out of greed, but because I believe the pedigree we have now, I'm right at the top. And you know our names. My opponents are Fernandez Barasa, woman MP, and former Senator Malala. That is the pedigree. Those are my opponents. They all have their history. I have mine. The people of Kakamega know. None of us is a stranger to them. I'm confident when they weigh our records and emerge as the best alternative.
Some people are saying that you're afraid of Barasa because of the relationship with the president.
Because of?
The relationship with the president.
No, the president will not vote for Barasa. The people of Kakamega will vote for Barasa. He can go ahead and do the things he's doing with the president, if indeed he's doing any, but I'll remain with the people. Okay. They'll vote for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That has been Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale. Bold, controversial, and unapologetically outspoken. This is Violet Auma. Thank you for watching a News Beyond Headlines. Please don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth interviews. Till next time. Bye-bye.